Sorry, Sandra.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, I can't hear you.
Can everybody else hear me?
And I'm sorry, I couldn't lip read that.
Everyone can
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Everyone is happy?
Yeah. Why don't you log out? Hang on. Log out and log. Oh, I'm replying to Candace privately. Sorry, Candace, hang on. Log out and log back in. All right. Loud and clear. Thanks, Bobby. All right, we're going to have to leave. Carolyn was actually up first, so we'll get to her when she's ready. All good. Okay, so I'm going to go through the recipes that we're going to showcase tonight. So Carolyn's going to show us Carolyn's the one having some technical difficulties at the moment, how to make ham and cheese quinoa muffins. And she's had to do a few batches since yesterday because her family keeps eating all the batches. That's how good they are. Mary's going to show us how to make sticky date puddings. Yum, yum. Then Kirsty's going to show us how to make some gluten-free crackers, rosemary and quinoa crackers. And I know how expensive gluten-free crackers are in the shop, so I'm really excited to see Kirsty whip up hers. She does make some changes to the recipe, but then we'll give you that information. I'm going to be showing you how to make a gluten-free pizza base. So very easy recipe, very excited about that one too. Ilham is going to talk to us about gluten-free bread. So she's going to talk to us about two types of breads, and so that's going to be really interesting to hear as well. Now we've got some desserts as well. So one of our dessert queens, Sue, is going to show us the lemon, coconut, and almond slice. So that's actually off Recipe Community. Then we got Mary again to show us another type of bread. So actually some bread rolls this time, the gluten-free and grain-free bread rolls, which are an absolute favorite in my house, and can't wait to show you that one as well. Tamara is going to show us a carrot and almond cake. And then we have Valentina, who's going to demonstrate to us how to put together a gluten-free quiche base, which you can use for all your quiches. It doesn't matter what topping you put, but that base just goes well with all of them. And Ellie is going to finish off with oh my Lord, so delicious, chocolate and raspberry brownies. Yeah. So I'm thinking all the team's on because I actually haven't checked if everyone is on. So let me just come here to participants. I'm going to mute all. So am I coming up on the screen when I'm talking? I am, because I see the name Melissa Cole. I don't know what's happening. So I'm hoping that when it's recording, it actually shows the speaker. Okay. All right. So is Carolyn around? Well, Carolyn probably is not still around. Okay. So Mary.
Sorry, I'm here, Sandra. Sorry.
Oh, can you hear us now?
Yep, I'm good now.
Okay, perfect. Go for it.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome. So tonight I'm going to make ham and cheese quinoa muffins. I made them last night, and I actually had to make another bunch again today because we ate them all. They were so good. So we'll get started. So first of all, we're going to preheat our oven to 180. And I've just used these silicone molds. They're just from Kmart, but they are quite big, so they don't make a lot. So today I actually doubled the batch, which you can double the batch. It's fine, and it made around 10. So that was really good. So I've greased them already. So it's asking us for 40 grams of cheddar cheese and 20 grams of Parmesan. So I've already cut that up. That's there. And we pop that in. And now we're just going to chop that up. Wait a second. Five seconds. And we have grated cheese. So that's really good because, you know, all the cheese that you buy in the supermarket, that's already grated, it's pre-grated, has so many chemicals in it, anti-caking chemicals, and it's really not good, and it's so much cheaper too. So it's actually, told us to take it out and transfer it aside, so we're done. This next part is where you cook the quinoa. So it's just a matter of putting 900 grams of water in the bowl. Your steaming basket then goes into the bowl. Measure out your quinoa and cook it. That cooks for 15 minutes, so you can go and do whatever you need to do for 15 minutes. Take out the quinoa and just rinse and dry the bowl. I didn't do this. I'm lazy. There's no need to, because you're just going to keep going. The only thing that I would say is possibly cool it down. So maybe put a little bit of cold water in it, but you don't need to wash it. Just for when it chops, because the machine has the safety functions, so it won't chop quickly. So just, yeah, if you cool it down, that's good. 2 sprigs of flat leaf parsley, thereabouts, and 1 spring onion, and that's just chopped roughly. And we're then just going to chop them up. Whoop. Helps if you press next. And there we have that chopped. And that's now chopped up, so we don't need to do that. And that actually smells really good. I don't know if anyone's made the herb and cheese dip that we make at the demonstrations, but that's what that smell reminds me of. It smells so good. So we're now just going to scrape down the sides of the bowl. That's all scraped. 60 grams of zucchini, again, just very roughly chopped. And a roundabout, it's okay if it's a little bit more or a little bit less, and we're going to chop that up. And that's all chopped up too. Okay, so 40 grams of ham. I've just bought the shaved ham from the deli. But even with things like Christmas coming up, when everyone's got leftover ham and you don't know what to do with it, make these. It's a really good way to use up ham. It doesn't use a lot of ham, but you can increase the quantity. 1 egg. So we'll just crack that into the bowl. 1 egg. And then we also need 1 egg white. And if I show you a trick, I do crack it into the bowl in case the yolk breaks. But you can actually separate the egg white and the egg yolk by pouring it onto your lid. Then that will seep down. Probably without moving the MC around, because then that will break the yolk. But then you get left with the yolk, and the egg white goes into the bowl. So a pinch of salt. I really need to get a salt pick. Has anyone got a salt pick? Are they good? Also. And pepper. And our reserved cheese. And also our drained quinoa. So that's what our quinoa looks like when it's cooked. You can use, this is white quinoa. I know that there's another one as well it's a dark colour, which I think that's the one that the recipe uses, because you can see it looks like it has poppy seeds in it. I thought it had poppy seeds in it, but it's the quinoa. So then that's that.
It's
and then we're
called
just going to mix.
tricolour quinoa.
Sorry?
Tricolour quinoa.
That's the one. It looks really cool. It gives it a really nice effect. So you can use whatever quinoa you can find or that you prefer. And then we're now going to transfer them into our muffin molds and bake for 25 to 30 minutes or until they're golden brown. Again, like I said, it doesn't make a lot, but it is quite okay to double the recipe. I did that today. And here's some I prepared earlier. So, look, and then they go everywhere. But they're really delicious and they're quite light and fluffy. And you can make them as brown, golden, or as dark as you prefer or as light as you prefer. So, yeah, and that's me. So I'll pop that in the oven. Thanks, Sandra.
Awesome. Thanks, Carolyn. So now we're going to move over to Mary, who's going to show us how to make sticky date puddings, and she'll tell us where she got that recipe as well.
Yep. I've got a friend here who's going to help me. I hope that's okay. So basically, this is a Skinny Mix's sticky date pudding recipe. You guys can hear me okay, hey? Yep, cool. All right, so what I did, I've already milled the almond meal, or the almonds into almond meal. That was the first 2 steps of the recipe. He's gone, thank God. So I've done that because you'll see me do it later anyway. So what we're going to do is pop the dates in, and then we're going to do that on, where's my lid? So we've got 250 grams of medjool dates, and I don't know whether I've told you this trick before, but if you don't have medjool dates, they're the really soft ones. You can actually just use the dried dates. You just pop boiling water on them. This is going to be on speed 5, so hopefully you'll be able to hear me. Can you hear me? Sorry. Yes, pitted dates in boiling water is what you can do if you don't have medjool dates, because the medjool dates are softer, so they actually go softer. All right, so you do that, and then you pop 150 grams of water in, and we're going to cook it. So that goes for 5 minutes. So 150 grams of water, 5 minutes on 100 degrees, speed 1. So do you want to go to someone else and then come back?
Yeah, that'd be great. We'll probably start with Kirsty whilst you do that. Just when you're ready, just come back off mute.
No worries.
Kirsty, thanks.
Hello, how you going? So I'm doing the quinoa and the rosemary and quinoa crackers. So I do have a recipe on Recipe Community, but when I'm doing gluten-free, I just change a couple of the ingredients. So instead of using spelt flour and plain flour in my normal recipe, I make my own flour. So I'm just going to use, my mind's blank tonight. So I've got chickpeas and some brown rice. So I'm literally just going to mill those for a minute. So you might be back in about a minute because you won't be able to hear anything. I could keep talking, but you're not going to hear me. So give me 1 minute and we'll be back.
Okay, thanks, Kirsty. All right, so we'll wait for Caroline and, for Mary and Kirsty to be ready. And in the meantime, I'm going to talk to you about pizza bases. So I did quite a bit of research around pizza bases and, trying to find a really good one for you. Spoke to a few customers and I think I found one. I trialed it today and it was quite good. I'm actually going to change screens so you'll be able to see me better. So I'm just going to mute myself on here and go to another screen. So just give me 1 moment. Okay, you guys able to hear me? Can you all hear me? Can I see a thumbs up from someone? Yeah? Oh, good. Got it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So Yeah, gluten-free pizza. This is something that someone who's gluten-free, whether you're intolerant or celiac, really misses out, don't they? Unless they have a really nice gluten-free base. So I'm not doing a cauliflower one or anything like that. We're actually doing a gluten-free pizza base. So this one's actually off Recipe Community. And it just rolls out so nicely. It really has an awesome consistency. The consistency just like dough. So let me just grab some water. We've done that already. So just some lukewarm water from the tap, if you can. If mine will decide to heat up. Oh my goodness. Okay, sorry guys, just a second. All right, got it.
What you're doing, I can keep talking if you like.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, so flour. So this is now a mix of besan flour from your chickpeas and your brown rice flour. So yeah, it's beautiful, it's fine. So from there, I'm going to throw in some rosemary. So I'm just going to pull that off. I'm going to give that a quick meal. Only takes 3 or 4 seconds just to break it up a little bit, so you're not having big chunks of rosemary in your crackers. And I'm going to throw in a little bit of salt as well. Doesn't have to be too much, just to give it that not so bland flavour. I am going to throw in a little bit of garlic powder as well, just to give it a little bit extra flavour. So just a few seconds, 4 or 5 seconds on speed 10, just to break up the rosemary a little bit. So beautiful. And this is what the tricolour quinoa looks like. So you can buy it like that. It's not that expensive. It's not as expensive as you would think for a superfood. So I've just got 100 grams of that. I'm going to pop that in. I'm just using some sesame seeds and a little bit of linseed as well, just for a little bit extra flavour as well. So that's going in. And then I'm going to pop my scales on. That's just 50 grams of olive oil. A really nice olive oil, obviously, is not much better flavour. So not just your old home brand one. Grab something a little bit more expensive because it's a little bit nicer. So I've got 50 grams of olive oil. And then 100 grams of water. So take that up to 150. One gram. Here we go. Right, pop the lid on, and it's just going to take a couple of seconds to mix together. So at speed 6, just give it 6 seconds. So that's mixed, and then all we've got to do is going to knead it. It's only for a minute, so it's nice and quick. Before I do, I'm just going to quickly show you. So it's a little bit messy, so I might add a little bit. You've just got to test the consistency. Actually, that's not too bad. So that's consistency that it should be at. So still a little bit soft, but not too hard, not too lumpy. I'm just going to give it a quick scrape down. So when I put it on kneading, it's going to mix it all through beautifully. 1 minute later, we're going to have our dough ready to roll out and make our biscuits.
Okay.
Is that you done, Kirsty?
Sorry?
You're good? You're good? Okay, good. So that was perfect timing. Mine just finished. So that's my dates all cooked and done. So what it says to do is pop in your bicarb soda. So you pop in your bicarb soda, which is a teaspoon, and then mix it on. So a bicarb soda, 5 seconds, speed 3. And then it says to let it sit while you're greasing the muffin tray. So that's just going to fluff that up. Now, I don't need to grease my muffin tray because my mixed shop order arrived the other day and I bought this. This is the silicone muffin tin with the metal frame. It's awesome. It's really, really good. So this is available from the mixed shop. So I don't need to grease mine because they didn't stick the other day. So that's just that's mix the baking baking soda through. I always get baking soda and baking powder mixed up. So now all I need to do is let that sit for a little bit. And then we're going to add the ingredients in a particular order. So it says to pop in the almond meal that you've milled and put aside. So pop that one in. Then you pop in 80 grams of olive oil. It says to do a light tasting olive oil. So we're just going to pop 80 grams in. I hope you can see past me. Sorry. It's not the ideal setup. The clip that I normally use for my phone is broken. Now, this recipe does have a lot of sugar in it. It is coconut sugar, but still it's a lot of sugar plus the dates. So you can minimize the amount of sugar that you use. Then we're going to put in some eggs. There's 3 eggs. Vanilla paste. So it says to use 2 teaspoons. I'm going to guesstimate. And then we put in the baking powder and salt. So just a little pinch of salt. The other night when I made it, I did half a teaspoon of salt, which is actually what the sauce needs. So this is, now we just pop 10 seconds speed 5. That's going to mix that through. And then what it says to do is spoon the mixture evenly into a prepared dish and bake for 25 minutes. Ooh, sorry. I'm actually going to use one of these little cupcake pens, and I'm pretty sure, Sandra, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can get them from the mix shop too, can't you? Yeah. So this will make it easier. Yesterday I tried to use a spoon and it was just messy, like it went everywhere. So I'm going to try it with this tonight. But that's basically the first part of it. So I'll give it one more little mix up, but that's the mixture ready to go in. So I'll show you what it's like. You don't need to see it in the muffin tins, do you? I'll just chuck it in the oven, yeah? All right, done. I'm finished. Until the sauce.
And then you'll show us what it looks like with the sauce? Yeah? Okay, perfect. All right, so I'll start with my gluten-free pizza base. I'm really excited to show you. So this is very, very simple. There's nothing to it. So 185 grams of water first. So it is lukewarm water from the tap. And lukewarm water just ensures that, it's just a lot quicker. We're going to add some chia seeds as well, and also some sugar, so because we are going to add yeast as well, so that sugar is going to wake up the yeast, and the chia seeds is going to help hold it together. The chia seeds actually replace xanthan gum, so if you're gluten-free or have been doing some gluten-free baking, the xanthan gum just helps bind the dough together, because this dough obviously doesn't have any gluten. The xanthan helps hold it together. If you don't have xanthan gum, you can use chia seeds. It actually does the same thing. So the email that I will send you will have a link attached to it, which will say the conversion rate, so whether you use chia seeds or xanthan gum. So xanthan gum is now quite easy to find. Before it was only in health food stores. Now you can find them in Coles at Woolies as well, in the health food section. 20 grams of yeast. It does seem like a lot, and the first time I did this recipe I thought there must be a mistake, but it is 20 grams, and you can't actually taste the yeast in the dough, because that was my concern. And now we're going to mix that for 2 minutes on 37 degrees speed 2. We'll just set the time. Okay, 37 degrees. And all it's going to do is going to heat up the water for me. Now, for some of you who don't know this, you can actually tell when the Thermomix has reached that temperature. So on the screen above the big 37 degrees, once it hits 37, you'll get a little 37 degrees on there. So that'll just tell you that it's reached temperature. So you don't need to wait the whole time. So it's actually reached for me already. So I'm going to stop it, and we'll continue with the recipe. So that's the beauty of grabbing it warm water out of the tap. And now we're just going to add the rest of our ingredients. So I've actually got store-bought gluten-free flour. I've had this, because it's just what I had in the pantry. But for this class today, I did do quite a bit of research around, you know, making your own flours, and it is just so easy and so much cheaper, because gluten-free flour, if you use a lot of it, can be quite expensive. So I'm just adding 280 grams. So I have actually found a couple of recipes that are very popular. One is from Sophia's Kitchen. So in the email that I'll send you with recipes, we'll have a link to her famous gluten-free flour, okay? We're gonna add some salt as well. So just a teaspoon of salt. Okay, a small teaspoon. I found that with this recipe that I just found it a tad too salty, but that's just me. So if you want to just add a little bit less, then you can. And 60 grams of olive oil too. So, okay. So again, it does seem like a lot of olive oil, and it was concerning for me at first, but it does make the recipe turn out really nice. So now we're just going to mix it all. So if you go slowly up to speed 6, I'll explain the slowly part in a moment. If you do it slowly, especially with this flour, because it's so fine, it won't splatter the flour up to the lid, so you still have a nice clean lid. If you do it really fast, it just splatters flour everywhere and you have a lot more washing up to do. So there is our dough. So that's come together really nicely already, but we're just going to knead that for a couple of minutes. It still needs that kneading process. So I'll just do it for a minute, because like I said, there's really no gluten in here, so you don't need to knead it for a long time. So we have to knead it. I'll just pop it aside so I can talk. And then you have to let it rise for about an hour. So again, because there's no gluten, but there's quite a bit of yeast in there, it is going to rise, and it's really going to fluff up quite spongy, but it does take an hour. So today, even though it was warm in my house, it still took that long. So you just got to be a little bit patient, but the end result is worth it. So once that's done, and it's at the end of the class, I'll show you what it looks like. I'll show you the pizzas that I made. And I'll also show you another bread that I made today that I tried, and I'll present that to you at the end as well. Okay, so that's me with the pizza. I'll be back with that. And Kirsty, are you ready for your bit? Yep. I know, Mary.
I'll do the sauce when it comes out of the oven. That's when it's
okay. Perfect. Okay. All right, we'll go to Kirsty then.
Okay, so I have been rolling it out. So when you get it out, it makes 3 decent sized pieces. I found like little mats are great for this, little silicone mats. We do have some in the mix shop, but I use mine today for something else, so they're in the dishwasher. So you just roll it out as thin as you can with a little bit of greaseproof paper over the top of it. And once you're done, so I've nearly got it thin enough. So I just use a rolling pin. You don't have to roll it. It just slides over the top. Once you're done, you get your little pizza roller and you just score it. Yes, it is a knife. So this is why you've got to be really gentle with it. You don't want to cut your mat, and you just score it. So you just make it into little squares. You can make triangles, whatever shapes you like. It is a little bit sticky to use, so this is why I do it straight on the mat, because I can stick the mat straight in the oven. Turn it around and we'll do it the other way, so you end up with little squares. If you're a little bit of a perfectionist like me, you can always scrape off the little edge bits that are not perfectly square, throw them back onto another piece. So I just get my little paint scraper, scrape the little bits off that aren't perfectly square. So I'm going to have, I like to have perfectly square crackers. I'm a little bit OCD like that. So yeah, just pull off the little bits that aren't right. And these just go in the oven 20 minutes. And then once you turn the oven off, put them all back in and they will really crispy up. What I love about this recipe is so durable with all your different flours as well. So, if you don't have chickpeas in the cupboard, you can use, your white flours, your brown flour, or again, making your own. It's much easier. So, yep, they just go in the oven like that. They will separate. So when they come out of the oven, here's one I prepared earlier. They come out like this. They're all still sort of connected, but yeah, they just snap apart quite easily. And they're perfect to have with your dip. all your different dips. There's some beautiful dips out there, but yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous. And I love telling people this. So this entire recipe, so it makes 3 sheets of crackers. It cost me $1. Especially if I'm buying my chickpeas, making my own flour, it costs you $1. It's much cheaper than I can buy those Sakata biscuits, and they're like $2 a packet. This is much cheaper and it makes twice as much. So,
Kirsty, I was buying gluten-free crackers. That one packet would cost $5.
yeah, it's ridiculous.
1 little packet. Yeah.
Yep. Three sheets, and I get, for $1. So it's much cheaper, especially making your own flour. Like Beesan flour, it's $4 for a kilo. I buy a kilo of chickpeas, dried chickpeas. Well, I buy a 5 kilo bag for $5. So, it's 10 cents worth of chickpeas to make this. So
Awesome. Thanks, Kirsty.
No worries.
Thanks for that. So I just want to show what my dough looks like. So here it is. So it's quite doughy. It's actually quite satisfying. It feels like Play-Doh. It feels beautiful. I wanted to share a tip also because it's stickier than normal dough. So I had a lot of dough stuck to my blades. I don't now, but if you haven't heard this tip before, if you've got a lot of dough stuck to your blades or batter, cake batter, muffin batter, the quinoa muffins, you just put your bowl back in your Thermomix, whiz it on speed 10 for 1 second, and it flicks everything off the blades. So then you can grab the rest of your dough. So if you didn't know that tip, it's great because it just saves you all that fiddling with the spatula. So now I'm going to wrap this in the mat, and I'm going to talk to you about the mats as well. Kirsty was using our oven mats, and this is a mat for our dough work. You can get a set of these mats, so the silica one and the oven one. So the oven one replaces baking paper, which is great. Just by hosting a demo, you can get this set worth $90 for $25. So that is a massive saving, and that's just for hosting. So have a chat to your consultant. If you want to learn more tips, have a more personalized demo, chat to your consultant, get some friends over that may be interested in seeing the Thermomix, and get these mats for $25. I promise you it is worth it. So we are going to go now to Ilham, who's going to talk to us about her gluten-free bread. Thanks, Ilham.
You're welcome. Hi, everybody. So I switching off. Oops, I didn't even see that happening. I decided to make 2 loaves tonight. Well, I made 2 loaves beforehand to talk about after I cooked the chia and pepita loaf, or show you how to make it in the Thermomix. I chose the chia and pepita because to show you how to mill the rice into rice flour or the bisan into bisan flour, but everyone's doing that tonight. So I skipped that, and I just, while everybody was busy, I decided to mill that already. So it saves us 1 minute. And so we'll just skip that bit. Oops. I'll go into my week. Oh, now now it's starting to wake up again, my cooking. Just give me 1 second. Okay, my week. Oh gosh, here we go. So now I'm having technical difficulties. Sorry, I should have checked that it was. What's going on? Alrighty, my week. Sorry guys. Okay, chia and pepita. So I've already milled the 110 grams of basmati rice and 110 grams of long grain brown rice and 80 grams of millet. So I'll skip that by going to step 2. And then, like Kirsty said, you don't have to buy bisan or chickpea flour. At the same time, while you're milling your rice, you can actually mill your dried chickpeas into bisan flour. But I've just already done that. So that's 40 grams of chickpea flour. And then next, 140 grams of arrowroot flour. Now, arrowroot flour can be found in Woolies in like those long yellow cylindrical cartons, but they're so expensive. So I just get tapioca starch, which is usually in the Asian supermarkets or in the international aisles of Coles and Woolies, and it's $1 compared to whatever the small little yellow cylinder costs. So that's 140 grams of arrowroot. Yep. And then next, so 40 grams of chia seeds. and 40 grams of pepita seeds. Next. And then 2 teaspoons of xanthan gum. And then next, we've got a teaspoon of salt. Sorry, that's my almost 2-year-old crying, if you can hear in the background. She wants to be here. Okay, and then all we're doing is mixing everything. So that's going to take about 10 seconds. Okay, so at this point, we just have to transfer the flour into another bowl. And this is what it looks like. And then 2 tablespoons of honey. I've added a bit of spray to my tablespoon so the honey comes up easier, because usually I'm fighting with the honey when I'm doing cooking classes. So that was way easier. Okay, next, 400 grams of water. Okay. Perfect. Next, 2 teaspoons of dried instant yeast. So that's 1, 2. Next, and then we're just going to warm that up for about 2 minutes at 37 degrees. But like Sandra says, if it reaches 37 degrees before the 2 minutes is up, then I'll stop it. But if Sandra, if anybody wants to go.
Yeah, so I would like to show a bread that I made today. So very similar to what you made as well, just different ingredients, but the consistency and the fluffiness is just amazing. So this one is off cookie dough as well, and it's called sun-dried tomato and pepita bread. I made this because I think it's just going to be great in the morning, toasted with a poached egg on top or a boiled egg. And I'm going to show you how fluffy this is. So because honestly, you cannot get this from the shops. So can you see how nice and fluffy that is? It's just beautiful and very simple to make. And it's actually, this one, you don't have to mill all these flours. It's actually just with tapioca or arrowroot, so one or the other. And it's absolutely delicious. And look how good that looks. So that one's with sun-dried tomato. Yep, that's the one. Yeah, so Ilham, do you want to talk about that packet?
So this is the one, that's the cheaper one. It's about just over $1, and it's tapioca starch, and it's way cheaper than getting it. The yellow little cylinder one in Coles and Woolies, that says arrowroot on it, and it's the same thing. It works the same. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's an absolute direct substitute. So when we do our Brazilian cheese puffs at demos, we buy those packets because it's way cheaper and it's exactly the same. And you can get them from your Asian stores. All Asian stores will sell it. It's near the tapioca pearls, near the rice flour as well. And you can also find it, my local IGA has it. You can also find it in Woolworths in the Asian section, some Woolworths. And they're only like $1, $1.20, $1.10, something like that.
Elise, it's called Chia and Pepita gluten-free bread. So we're already at 37 degrees, so I've just stopped that. And then we'll just put in macadamia oil or olive oil. I don't have macadamia oil, so I'll just use olive oil. And that's 30 grams. Okay. And then 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. And then 2 eggs. And then your reserved flour that you milled earlier. So put that back in. And I use a bowl with a spout because that way it's just easier so the flour doesn't go everywhere. Next, so we're going to mix this for 15 seconds on speed 5. It's going to ask you to scrape down the sides of the bowl and then to do that again for another 15 seconds. But actually, it's actually really good. It's not even, it doesn't even need that much of scraping that the lid does. So we'll just get some of the lid. Next. And that's another, only 5 seconds for on speed 5.
Sandra, can I quickly show you guys the sauce after Ilham's finished?
Yep.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so at this point, we've got a loaf tin that I've already greased. And so you just put it in the loaf tin and you allow it to prove for, it says on the recipe 30 minutes, but obviously due to different temperatures and whatever time you make of the year you're making it, you obviously need to prove it as long as it doubles in size. So I like to make sure that it gets as close to the top of the loaf tin as possible. Or I keep it in like a dark place, maybe the oven or whatever else. And then after that, your oven needs to be preheated for 280 degrees and will cook for 40 to 45 minutes. And then this is what it looks like in the end. I'll show you. Once it proves for about an hour, you have to brush it with water and then just put a bit of chia seeds and then pepita seeds on the top, and then you put in the oven for 40 to 45 minutes. Okay, so the other bread I'm going to talk about today is, it's really easy, and my kids don't really like the flavor of the chia and pepita bread, but my husband and I love this bread, so I cook that all the time. So my kids prefer this one. It's the gluten-free Artisan bread, and it can be found in the UK collection. I think it's called, Sandra, help me out here. No gluten, no problem. I think that's what it's called on the UK collection. And what it does, what it is you would just mill 80 grams of almonds initially, and then the rest of it is just the gluten-free plain flour, which you can buy at the store, or you can find the gluten-free flour recipe on Cookie Dough. And yeast, everything else, it's all listed there. You just put it all into the Thermomix, knead it for 5 minutes, and then put it on a baking sheet with baking paper, and then use a palette knife to kind of make it round. It's a really sticky dough, and then just use a knife and just make 3 slits up the top. And then once you're done with that, all you do is once it's brewed for an hour, you put in like egg wash, and then just use sesame seeds if you want. You don't need to put on the sesame seeds. And you put it in the oven, but when you put it in the oven, the oven has to be preheated to 160 degrees with a baking dish underneath it, and then you pour water into the baking dish after you put the bread in the oven, and that helps with the crispiness on the outside and the moisture on the inside. And this particular bread can also be cooked in a loaf tin. So you can do it like this or a loaf tin. So yeah, that's all.
Ilham, could you cut it open for us to see what it looks like inside?
Which both or just the one? Or
The loaf.
not this one? Well, this
Yeah.
one, I'll see this one first.
That looks amazing.
It's so nice. And this, you can actually freeze them in slices and toast them as you need them. So you can actually make them in bulk. And this you can eat fresh or or toasted. So with your jams or spread, whatever you want to cook it, whatever you want to serve it with. So that's the inside of the chia and pepita. This one's so good, but my kids can't handle the taste of it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the chickpea flour. I don't know, but they prefer the artisan, gluten-free artisan bread. So yeah, there we go. That's me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ilham. We just had a Susan say on the chat that she makes both and they're both great. So that's good to hear. Yeah. All right. So thanks for that, Ilham, and thanks for all those tips. So now we're going to move over to Sue, who's going to show us the lemon
just
coconut
quickly
and
do the
almond slice.
sauce.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Super
Sorry.
quick. I've literally
Yeah.
got to put coconut sugar in and tell you how long to do it for. So with the sauce for this sticky date puddings, it's 300 grams of coconut cream, or if you want to do it not dairy free, you just use normal cream. 80 to 100 grams of coconut sugar. I've got 80 grams here, so I'll chuck that in. Or close enough. Again, as I said, you can minimize the sugar if you want to. 2 teaspoons of vanilla bean paste. I estimated that before and chucked it in, and half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, so that's going to go on, and that just needs to heat 8 minutes, 70 degrees, speed 4. That's it, and then I'll show it to you all finished at the end. And the only other thing I didn't mention was with the sticky date puddings. Yesterday when I did them, they ended up they looked a little bit burnt on the top. So what I did was I put it down to 160 instead of 180, because it said for the oven to do 180. I've put it on 160, so I'll let you know if they're better. That's it.
Okay, thanks for that. Sue.
Yep.
With the lemon coconut almond slice.
Hi. Yeah, this recipe I found in a magazine and converted it to Thermomix and put it on Recipe Community. I do baking for the school. I work at the school, but I also bake morning teas and stuff. And we have some teachers that are gluten-free. So it's a great recipe to satisfy the gluten-free teachers. So we have 200 grams of almond meal. So I've already ground my almonds, so you can grind your own if you want. So 200 grams of almond meal. In the recipe, I've reduced the sugar today when I did a batch earlier. So instead of 100 gram, I've got put 50 gram in. 100 gram of butter. One egg. And 20 gram of desiccated coconut. We just give that a mix for 10 seconds on speed 4. So that's our base done. There it is, all mixed. So that goes into the oven. Now, I'm a cake decorator as well, and I cook all my cakes at 160. Mud cakes I cook at 140, but all my other cakes I cook at 160. I find 180 is too high. So this will cook for 15 minutes until it lightly browns. So we'll just spread that out. And a good way to help spread out your fudges or your biscuit base or your bases, you've got another tray the same size, bit of baking paper, put the tray on top and squash it down. Really good for fudge when it's hot and trying to get it smooth. And that's nearly, I just have to play with it a bit more. But that's the base, goes into the oven for 15 minutes. Now, while your bowl is still dirty, we'll do the crunchy top. So in the topping, there is 50 gram, I've got slivered almonds, 50 gram of, again, I've cut the sugar from 100 down to 50. Desiccated coconut, 50 grams, and 50 grams of shredded coconut, and then 2 eggs. And that just mixes for 5 seconds. on speed 5. So the topping we put aside. There's our topping all mixed. We put that aside for when the base is being cooked. Okay. So the next layer is lemon butter, but I've always have a supply of lemon butter that I cook from the cookie dough recipe on hand. So it's 350 grams of lemon butter. So once your base is cooked, you put your lemon butter on and then dollop the topping on top and back into the oven for 20 minutes until it browns. And this is one I prepared earlier. That's part of one. But it's so versatile. The next one I'm making now, I'm going to put a cherry and plum jam on. So I haven't got all this lemon. So you can use jam as well if you want. So there you go. Our lemon.
Thanks, Sue. I hadn't realised this was your recipe.
I was one in a magazine that I converted over because you're always looking for, when you have to cater for vegetarian and vegan and gluten-free, you're looking for different recipes that they might like. And like the quinoa muffins, I convert them into vegetarian when I cater for school as well. I leave out the ham and put mushrooms or whatever in them. Yeah, so, yeah. There you go.
Great. That's a great tip. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that with the quinoa muffins, how you can change it around. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, Sue. Thanks for presenting one of your recipes to us. I think Mary's not ready yet. So we're going to move over to Tamara to show us the carrot and almond cake.
Hey everyone, how are you going? So pretty much I'm making the gluten-free carrot and almond cake. So we'll get started. So to preheat your oven to 170 degrees, which I've done. It says to grease and line a cake tin. I'm kind of like Mary. I got my delivery from the mix shop the other day. So I did use this pan today when I made the cake, but I'm going to use the mini loaf tray. Like Mary said before, it's a ring full of steel at the top and easy to, I don't know, pop out. Reason why I'm doing that is because we're back to school next week. So I thought quick and easy lunchbox treats. So next, it says we're going to mill the almonds, but I've already done that step because everyone is showing you guys tonight. Next, now we're going to do our carrot. We're actually going to grate 300 grams of carrot. So pop that in, add our lid on, and then we're going to turn it to speed 6 for 5 seconds. And as you can see, our carrot is all grated. So now we're going to add 100 grams of grapeseed oil. And then we're going to add our vanilla extract in, then our eggs. Then we're going to add our brown sugar in, 150 grams. Then we're going to add in our gluten-free baking powder. We're going to add in 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and 2 teaspoons of ground ginger. So pop that in, add a pinch of salt. And then our almond meal that we prepared earlier. then we're going to mix it in for 10 seconds at speed 5. And then we're just going to scrape down the sides. And then we are going to pour it into our tin. Only if you could actually smell it, because it actually smells amazing. But because the tin is quite fiddly, I did receive my cake pan from the mix shop. I think they're $13. So I'm going to pour it into this and pop it in. So if Mary wants to start, then I can wash this up and start the frosting.
That was perfect timing. The sauce literally just finished. So that's the caramel sauce that'll go on top of the puddings once they're ready, which we'll probably have to post photos of later. I'm just going to put that aside. So now I'm going to do the gluten and grain-free bread rolls, which are like really delicious, really, really good. So it says preheat oven to 180, line a baking tray. So 300 grams of raw almonds. This is where I'm going to mill the almonds. 50 grams of psyllium husk. Now, I did have 2 people today that messaged me and asked, said they don't like psyllium husk. So I don't know. I mean, I don't mind the taste of it, so I don't really notice it in the dish. I don't know whether, Sandra, you've done it without.
I haven't done it without, but I'm not a fan of psyllium husks either, but you cannot taste it.
Pick it up? Okay.
You can't pick it up. Yeah.
Cool. I didn't think so, but I wasn't sure. I did say that to him. I'm like, I don't think you can notice it, but I wasn't sure. So this is going to go speed 9 for 10 seconds. Okay, so after that, you just pop 3 teaspoons of baking powder in. You can't really see. So 3 teaspoons of baking powder, and that's the almond meal and psyllium husk done. 3 teaspoons of baking powder, a teaspoon of fine salt. I use the Himalayan pink salt. It's much better for you. It's got all the minerals left in it, whereas the iodized salt, the Saxa salt, it's got no minerals left in it. They've all been taken out, and then they put the iodine back in it. So this has got a lot better. This is a lot better for you. So this is going to be turbo 4 times. Now, this is a tip that Sandra gave me when making this dish. It says 5 egg whites. To save chucking out the yolks, just do 4 eggs, 4 solid eggs. So pop all of that in. I hate doing that. I hate when you've got to separate them and you end up with all these yolks left, or vice versa. 45 grams of apple cider vinegar. And then we're going to do this again. So 20 seconds, it's going to, on dough function, so it's going to knead it for 20 seconds. Another tip that Sandra gave to do for this recipe, which was really good, was to pop sesame seeds in, so 30 grams of sesame seeds. And she said 30 grams of flax seeds or linseeds. I don't actually have any, so I'm just using flax meal because that's what I've got. And really, essentially, it's the same thing. It just won't be as, you won't notice the texture so much. 375 grams of boiling water. Oh, and this is where I add the 30 grams too. So 30 grams of sesame seeds and then 30 grams of flax meal or flax seeds or linseeds. I'm just going to pour all of that in.
And Mary, it's 400 grams of boiling water.
Oh, 400, okay.
Yeah, because we added extra seeds. So just add a bit more water.
I added a little bit extra water last night, but not on purpose. I was wondering why it was fine. I was like, oh. These are really delicious rolls, though. I'll show you the inside of them in a minute.
So it's just so everyone understands, it has to be water that's boiling from the kettle. So boil your kettle and straight into the dough.
I just did that.
Yeah.
It was just boiled like 5 minutes ago. Okay, so it's going to knead for 1 minute. And I'll show you quickly how to check do you want to move to someone else, or do you want me to show you how to check the puddings?
Yeah, we can. I'm not sure if Tamara's ready for the icing.
Yeah, I can go for the icing.
You go. If you're ready,
Yep.
you go.
Okay, I'm going to do the icing. So pretty much it just says to bake your cake for about 45 minutes to 60 minutes. And then once it comes out of the oven, you do need to let it rest in your cake tin for at least half an hour just to cool it down. And then what you do is you put it onto a cool rack, let it completely cool down. Because when you make this frosting, if you put it on your cake, it will literally just melt. So you don't want that. So I've cleaned the bowl. We're gonna add 120 grams of raw sugar. We're gonna add our orange zest in, so just half with no. And then we're going to turn it into icing sugar. So this will go, I've got to do this step twice for 50 seconds each. So if anybody else needs to go, yeah.
Okay, so whilst you do that, we can go to Val, who's going to show us. Oh, is
Do you
that
want to do mine? Mine's ready. Sorry. They're
Okay,
both
go.
ready.
Go for it.
I just took the sticky date puddings out. So to check them, you just need to get a skewer or a candle and just pop it in the top. And as long as it comes out clean, they're ready. So that was 25 minutes on 160 degrees. Not yet, baby. And they were perfect. So I would do the temperature at 160. They're too hot. Don't touch them because you burn yourself. All right. So this says the dough will be sticky but workable with the spatula. So it is quite sticky. Just going to move you around because I'm going to put them on my mat. So we just tip it out. Divide it into 12 equal pieces. So I'll quickly do one and then keep doing them while Tamara or Val, whoever's ready next, is going to do it. Let's pretend this is one of the 12 equal pieces. We're just going to split it. I use this blade scraper. No. Anyway, use this. You can get these from sorry, my head's not working today, from the mixed shop as well. And you use them on your mat so you don't cut your mat because you should never use a knife or it will cut it. So basically, this is the dough consistency. It's actually not too super sticky. It is sticky, but not ridiculously sticky. So basically, you just shape it like that. I hope you can see that properly. And then just pop it on a tray with baking paper and pop it in the oven for, my hand won't work, 50 to 55 minutes. So the inside of them look like this. They are really, really delicious. So that's me done pretty much. And I'll put a photo up of the sauce over the puddings later.
Okay, all right, thanks for that. And we'll share photos with all of you of what we've made tonight as well. So I highly recommend those bread rolls. They are absolutely delicious. I cut them into slices, just cut them in half, and I freeze it. And then whenever I want some nice bread rolls in the morning with some eggs, whatever, I'll just toast it straight from the freezer. Yeah. So Tamara, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. So I've just milled that down to the icing sugar and the orange. So now I'm just going to add my butter in. Oops. I just added the butter back in the fridge for some unknown reason, so bear with me. Right, so 90 grams of butter, unsalted butter. So pop that in. And then we will chop that up. And then we'll add our cream cheese in. So 125 grams of the cream cheese. And then we'll mix this in as well for 25 seconds on speed 5. And this here is your frosting. So I'll quickly show you this. So that is the frosting for your cake. So the next step is it will talk to you about decorating your cake. So it does talk, it just says it's supposed to add walnuts, pistachios, pecans, but unfortunately my son is allergic to pistachios and pecans, so I actually don't keep them in my house. But I did make the cake earlier today, and this is what it looks like. And voila, it yeah, smells divine. So yeah, wish you guys could smell it, but yeah, that's me, done.
Oh my gosh, Tamara, that cake looked absolutely amazing. Well done with the decoration. That looks really, really good. You should have brought it today when we saw each other. Damn.
I should have. I'm going to have a cake now.
All right, thanks for showing that, and that icing just looked perfect as well. All right, Val, you're gonna show us how to do a gluten-free quiche base.
Yep. Hi everyone, how are you? So today we're making a gluten-free quiche base. So what we need to do is we start off. Sorry, my little one's just peeking ahead through. We need to start off with 80 grams of almonds. So just pop that in there. Then we put 80 grams of sunflower seeds. Oh, just a little bit short. That doesn't matter. Then we're going to pop in 30 grams of tapioca flour. Then we're going to pop in 40 grams of sesame seeds. And 40 grams of Parmesan cheese. So with the Parmesan cheese, you cut it up into cubes, so about 3 centimetre cubes. You pop that in there as well. And then we pop a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. We pop the lid on. And we're going to mix this for 30 seconds on speed 9.
I'll show you my pizza in the meantime. Ta-da! So if you like thin and crispy, this is the base. It's because it's still quite thin. It's nice when it's right out of the oven. Now that it's cooled down, it can be a little tough, but just heat it up in the microwave beforehand. But straight out of the oven, because we did have a couple of slices, that's why it's cut up. It's quite delicious. So yeah, there's my pizza.
Okay, so that's been milled. So I'll just show you what it looks like. It smells beautiful, so nutty. It smells beautiful. So now what we need to do is we need to scrape down the sides. And then we're going to need to add 50 grams of water. Okay, and then we pop the lid back on. Now we're going to mix this for 5 seconds on speed 5. Okay, so that's done. That's what it looks like once it's all mixed. Now the dough is very sticky. So what you need to do is when you do take it out, you put it on a, so if you've got the flour mat, I'll just put this down. So if you do have the silicone dough mat, you can use it on that. Alternatively, you can get 2 sheets of baking paper, put one on the bottom and another one on top, so that way you can flatten your dough, or you can use your hands as well. Sandra, this might take a little bit, so I don't know if Ellie wants to start on her brownies and you can come back to me.
Yeah, that'll be great. So Elia, you can start on the chocolate and raspberry brownies.
Hi guys, I've been patiently sitting here waiting my turn, and of course I've got friends on and they messaged me to say, oh my God, Elia, who's behind you? I freaked out, but they were joking. The joys of Zoom. So these are white chocolate, raspberry and pistachio brownies, and it's on UK Cookie Dough. And I came across it because I've got friends who are celiac, and they are amazing. They are my go-to brownies now. I prefer them over, you know, all the other brownie recipes. They're so good. So you definitely have to try it, guys. Like a must, like you have to. There's a few people on here that have tasted it and they all love it. So you have to. So while I was waiting for everyone, I just grated dark chocolate and melted it with some butter. Okay, so that's done. And now I'm adding 100 grams of gluten-free self-raising flour, which I just have bought this packet from Coles. Yeah, and of course it's, you know, more expensive. So I feel bad for all those people that are gluten-free because everything is a lot more expensive. So having a Thermomix where you can, you know, make things yourself would be such a, you know, help with the budget and stuff. So yeah. Okay, so we've got 100 grams. Now it says 200 grams of sugar, and I always put less because I feel like they're already sweet. So I've got about 120, but you know, you can reduce it even more. 3 large eggs. And it's going to mix just for 20 seconds. Speed 5. And then I just use Cadbury white melts and Cadbury dark chocolate. So it will just ask me to scrape it, and then I'll be mixing a bit more. 5 seconds. Go down. And then another 5 seconds. I'll show you. Scrape it down and then I'll show you after. I was tossing up between making this brownie recipe tonight because I absolutely love it. My other favorite gluten-free recipe is the zucchini slice. That's just on Cookie Dough as well. So I made it as well anyway because I've got my nieces coming over for a sleepover tomorrow, and this is what I always do. I love patting it up in with cookie cutters, so you know, in star shapes and love hearts and stuff. So I feel like it makes it more fun for the kids to eat, like, oh, you got to eat the star, or you know, or like if they don't want to eat something, I'm like, oh, it's just a little tiny strawberry, sorry, it's just a tiny love heart, you can do it. So I thought I'd share that as well. And I milled my own rice flour because the recipe asked for rice flour. So I just had 100 grams of rice, and then for 2 minutes, speed 10, and it milled to make my own rice flour. So that's always good. So I'm adding pistachios now to the brownie mix. So just 60 grams. And this is where you don't actually need to mix it anymore because we're just going to stir it through, and 120 grams of chocolate, white chocolate. So just add some of this. I added too much, but that's all right. So we just stir it. Okay, so I just stir it with the spatula for a little bit, and then we put it straight into the brownie tin, okay? And then on top, we're going to sprinkle some raspberries and more pistachios. Now, obviously, you don't need to just, you can use strawberries. You know, I've made it before with strawberries when I didn't have raspberries. And of course, yesterday when I went to my Coles, they didn't have fresh raspberries, so I've just got frozen ones, which work well as well.
Hey, Elia, I have to correct you on something super duper important.
Oh my God, what?
You can never have too much chocolate.
So I added extra, didn't I? No, you can't. That's definitely. So I always, when you're scraping stuff, I always use I always use, you know, my bowl to help with my spatula, if that makes sense. So I will, go like that. Maybe you guys can see it better. So I'm just spreading it over. And then it just bakes in the oven for half an hour at 160. So this looks super messy, but it'll be fine. We're going to add the raspberries on top. Now, oh gosh, they're, because I took them out at the beginning of our class, they're a little bit mushy. So that probably doesn't look as nice, but trust me, the taste will be amazing. Okay, so you can actually, you know, do it nicer. If you had, if they weren't frozen, you could do it in a nice little pattern or something. And then I just sprinkle more raspberry, more pistachios. And that is it. So if you have a look, that's what it looks like before baking. And then once it's finished, it looks like that. But yeah, it's definitely one to try, guys. It's amazing. Thanks.
Thanks, Elia, and it looks so delicious. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that recipe. Before we finish off, I just want to show you my pizza dough. It's ready to roll. So look how easy that is to roll, and I'm doing that on our oven mat because it can go directly in the oven on top of the oven mat. And then you can just, you know, use your hands just to give it the nice round shape, but it does hold its shape really well. If you weren't doing this, if you weren't going to cook it on top of the silicone mat, then do it on top of baking paper. So then you can take that baking paper, lift it up and put it on a pizza tray, because by lifting this up now, look, I can do it, but it will start to fall apart. So yeah, do it on top of baking paper if you don't have the oven mat. That's it, guys. I think we're done. I think everyone has.
I haven't finished yet.
Oh, sorry. Oh my goodness. I always forget someone at the end. Always. I'm so sorry, Val. Go for it.
Okay, that's okay. So just to finish off, just because the dough is so sticky, I took most of it out. But as a tip, what you can do is the remaining that's in there, just pop it on speed 10, and it'll flick it all to the side, so it's easy to scrape out. And once you've done that, I ended up, I didn't show you guys, but I ended up rolling the dough in a ball, so it's easy to spread out. And then I just rolled it out, and then I've just flattened the edges with my hands. Then what you need then is you need to get a non-stick quiche pan, and just cut the, and I've got this one with a removable base. You cut a piece of baking paper just to fit on the base, but before you put the actual baking paper on, just grease it with a bit of olive oil spray. So then what we're going to do now is we're going to lift, lift this up gently because it does fall apart. And we're just going to line it into the actual cake tin or the quiche dish, and just fiddle with it in there just to fit it nicely into the actual dish, and make sure you just smooth it out so it's nice and even inside. And then once you've done that, you pop it in the oven. It bakes in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes. But what I did, I baked one earlier today, and I noticed that the base was actually rising up. So what I did, I ended up getting a bit of baking paper with some beans, and I popped them on top. I baked it in the oven for about 10 minutes with the beans on top, and then I took the beans off, and then I baked it for another 10 minutes, and this is the end result. That's it there.
That looks perfect.
Good, thank you. So then you can fill it with your choice of quiche filling, and there's lots and lots and lots on cookie dough, and yeah, and pop it in the oven. You can even freeze it as well. Yeah, it smells beautiful. The kids have already been picking at the base, so they love it. So it's a thumbs up from the kids.
That's awesome, Val. It's always great when we get a thumbs up from the kids. Yeah. All right. Well, ladies, that is it. We have finished. We've presented to you, I think, 10 amazing recipes. Like I said in the beginning, you're going to receive links to these recipes and more on your email. So look out for your email, probably not tonight, but sometime over the weekend. On that email, we'll also send you photos of what we've presented tonight. Then if you have any questions, you can get in touch with me or get in touch with your consultant who was on, if she was on tonight as part of this class, and we can help you with your questions and your queries. So we will have more classes coming up this month. We've all just been a little busy because of school holidays. Our kids have been driving us a little bit crazy, so we haven't popped up our new classes on our socials yet. So keep a lookout for them. We do have classes like, we will be doing some cocktails with you all, so keep a lookout for that one. And also maybe just repeating a few classes we've done in the past, like fake away meals and bread classes, which were incredibly popular when we did run them. So thank you again for coming, and we look forward to seeing you at our next class. Thank you, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Let us know if you try any of these dishes, and if you do, pop them up on our socials as well, so we can inspire other customers to try these recipes. Fabulous.
Thanks for
you
joining,
all.
everyone.
Okay, so I'm just gonna.
You have to share that recipe, Carolina, that you made last night.
Oh, which one? The cocktail. Yeah, I can't wait for the class. Cocktail. Yeah.
Neither can I. I'm not driving.
Excited for that class. We definitely have to put that one together. Should we do like a Sunday afternoon, Sunday early evening for that class, because it's cocktails?
Yeah, or Friday night.
Oh, Friday night.
Friday night, yeah.
I'm really up for it anytime, Sandra. Just not Wednesday night.
10 a.m. on a Monday morning.
Perfect timing.
That would be perfect for me. I suffer a lot from Mondayitis. Oh, okay.
I
So
have to talk to my boss. Tell him I'm sick.
Yeah, I should do the same.